Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast, episode 133. Altai here, joined once again by the one, the only,
Omer.
All right.
And we have a good podcast this week as usual. What do you got?
Second podcast of the year, Omer. Any
2018.
2018. Any starting words before we move on to the weekly?
The first month of any new year is the worst because you always want to say like it's 2017 and this still happens, but no, you can't. Just the other night, I was like, it's 2017. You can't assume someone's gender, but it was 2018 because it's still the first like 2 weeks. I've made that mistake at least like 4 times already, and I'm pretty sure other people in the chat have made it as well. That's the biggest thing about New Year's that sucks. The first month. After that, you won't make the mistake. That's my only.
I used to make that mistake in school because in school you have to write the dates on everything, so that would happen sometimes. But since my adult life, I really haven't had that issue. It's just you.
Already the second week. Time flies, guys.
It does. I told myself I'd lose weight. I think I've gained weight so far this year.
All right. You should publicly announce your weight and your goal, your New Year's resolution. All right, let's get those out of the way. What do you want to get to, and what are you now?
Okay, I am currently around 181, so between 180 and like 182. It fluctuates. Pounds.
What's your height?
5'8".
So we can all make fun of you.
5'8".
5'8".
I want to be 150.
Whew.
So that's a 30
That's it.
pound drop about.
If you can grind in MapleStory, you can make this happen. All right, you can do it.
All right, that's a dream.
That's your dream. What is my New Year's resolution? I want to get to level 250 in MapleStory, but that's not going to happen. That is an unbelievable grind even today, but it's on the to-do list. All right, it's on the to-do list. All right, and with that, let's take it to our weekly raid.
Yeah, the chat's making me look bad here. Everyone's telling me how much skinnier they are, so
you're thick.
That works better on ladies than men, unfortunately. All right, here we go, guys. Some serious business. All right, we're gonna start serious this year, okay? The question I had to ask is, will 2018 be the year of esports? It's a little vague because what does that mean? A lot of people would probably say esports is already big, right? I don't know if that's your position, but I did do some digging for numbers, and I guess we'll just start at the bottom of this article here. This is a chart I made in Google Docs. This is my expert.
You made this chart. This was an Altai created chart.
This was an Altai created chart. So this is the total prize pool of all tournaments for all games in each year. So back in 2010, which I started 2010 because it's not too far back. It was 5.8 million, and then it doubled to about 10, then to 13 million, 22 million. 37 million in 2014, 2015 66, 2016 96 million, and 2017 was the biggest year yet at 110 million dollars. So
wow,
you can see by the slope here, the slope did slow down between 16 and 17 here. So now my question to you is, will this chart go back to 2 years ago with that steep climb, or are we gonna start humping it and leveling out? What say you?
All right. See, I think the chart's a little bit misleading because when you're looking at the actual prize pools, I don't think that's really representative of the entire esports market.
Yes, I know.
Or a good proxy because
I think it's a good proxy.
Hold on. How much do like Super Bowl champions win? You think if they win? Like if you win the Super Bowl, how much money do you get? I don't think it's a lot.
I don't know.
Like we're talking like maybe a couple $100,000 per player. Like that's not a lot of money.
But because the tournaments know that the players are getting like $100 million each for their contracts.
Yep. The winning player for the Super Bowl gets $107,000.
Okay, but the average player in the NFL
more for winning a Dota tournament than you get for winning the Super Bowl.
But it's not comparable because the Dota player either gets 0 salary or like a very low 5-figure salary, right?
Yes.
It's probably usually 0 salary, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas the football player gets like $20 million salary, right? And then 100 million endorsements or whatever. So he doesn't need. The structure is different because of that. Again, I realize it's just a proxy. I know there's a lot of branding, sponsorships, merchandising. Like they also gets added to this 110 million. This is I feel as if this is growing, it probably means everything else is growing as well,
yes.
Right? And if this is plateauing, it means everything else is plateauing as well. So it's a rough gauge. I agree.
I think we can look at the most recent esports deal, which was actually just announced basically like 12 hours ago, like 6 to 8 hours ago. The Overwatch eSports League actually just announced a deal with Twitch. I gave you the link on podcast chat, by the way. And this actually is pretty interesting because it kind of shows you there's actually a value to esports for game companies nowadays beyond just marketing. So for people unfamiliar with the deal, the rumor is right now the financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, but according to Sports Business Daily, they're reporting that basically Twitch paid Activision Blizzard $90 million for the rights to broadcast the Overwatch League.
Wow.
Which seems pretty insane. $90 million is a shit ton of money. And obviously Overwatch is a relatively big game. But Overwatch tournaments don't get that many viewers. There's no way Twitch will make that money back. So it's pretty insane that you have, broadcasters, in this case Twitch, willing to pay this kind of money for esports content.
Yeah. I think they're just doing it to prevent any potential people to catch up with Twitch. Like if YouTube gets it, so far IMO, okay, the whole YouTube streaming gaming initiative really hasn't really taken off. Or is that fair to say? I know there are some people who stream on YouTube, God bless them, but it just seems like the center of gravity for the streaming scene is still Twitch, strongly. So I think they just want to. I think they want to cement their lead, Twitch here. And I did mention Overwatch in the weekly raid. So Overwatch spent 2017, okay, basically building the groundwork for 2018. They got those leagues out. They sold a few of those $10 million or $20 million slots, right? You could buy a team for $10 million or something. So they did all that. And this is 2018 will be a good year, I think, to test whether there's an appetite for these kind of events in the esports world. Like I said, Twitch has paid a lot of money. Overwatch is spending a lot of money, and people are investing in Overwatch teams. Now, will people actually tune in and watch? I think 2018 will be a good test year for this.
For sure. I mean, this Overwatch League actually begins tomorrow on January 10th. And besides this, the only other deal kind of like this was the esports deal between Riot Games and BAMTech / Major League Baseball. That was announced back in 2016, and there was a $300 million deal which spans 7 years. So I think it's amazing that the content itself becomes so valuable now. That I mean, I don't think Riot Games makes money off esports. I don't think Overwatch can probably make money off esports either. But $90 million is nothing to laugh at. I mean, obviously, running the Overwatch League costs a lot of money. Even being a part of the Overwatch League, I think teams that pay millions of dollars to basically register as teams. So Blizzard might actually be making money off this, or getting close to making money. Whereas most of the time, these become big money losers. I mean, $90 million is insane. And again, we looked at the previous data that some of the LCS games for League of Legends gets more viewers than your average your average MLB game, or even on par with some of the big basketball games outside of the biggest tournaments.
And I also do want to mention some of the smaller studios that are really doing really good groundwork. So Hi-Rez just held their expo again this year. And Hi-Rez has really been, they've been doing this for a few years now, and it's way more legit and well organized than I thought. Or I gave them credit for. The Smite tournament this year, World Championships, just finished. It was $1 million prize pool. I remember when we were in high school, Martin and I, esports was $5,000. That was the biggest tournament. If you win $100 in an esports tournament, you were legit. Not all of a sudden you're a pro player because you won $100. But now, if a game like Smite, Paladins also had their world championship. These games have $1 million prize pool. That's insane. That's really, really big.
Not just that, actually. There's been a lot of really obscure games that have pretty surprisingly big prize pools as well. I think, was it Heroes Evolved? There was this really garbage MOBA, this pay-to-win MOBA that had a $600,000 prize pool. And that's nuts. It's this really obscure Chinese game. All of a sudden is offering hundreds of thousands of dollars for some bullshit tournament on a purely pay-to-win game. So a lot of other games have started to embrace the esports scene as well. We're starting to see it covered on ESPN. We're seeing it covered in more mainstream places. I think it's only time before it becomes the chart's still growing. I think the deals for the League of Legends LCS will keep getting bigger and bigger as well. And obviously, I know you don't agree with this, but I do think there is potential to see it in the Olympics one day.
Oh man, the dreamer. I want to quickly go over this. I've actually found this site when doing some research. I linked it in the chat. Esports earnings. And then you can break it down by game, by year. So one of the issues I have with esports is how concentrated it seems to be at the top. And these are older games that I think sooner or later will fall out of favor. So number one for 2017 was Dota 2. And I think Dota 2 is the number one going back, 6 years now. Dota 2 at 38 million. So out of the 110 million total prize pool among all games, 38 million alone was Dota 2. Number 2, Counter-Strike, which is another old game, but to its credit, it's kind of redid itself 3 times already. So if anything sticks around, it'll probably be Counter-Strike. And then League of Legends number 3. So I don't know. I feel like eventually Dota, League, and HOTS, this mobile genre will fall out of favor eventually, don't you think?
Yes, but you also look at the big thing right now is PUBG. Even if these games fall out of favor, PUBG could easily make up for that and then some. I mean, that's true. If you've seen I think you did watch the interview with Brendan Green on H3 podcast, and he even talked about how he wants to see it as an esport. In one way or another, he wants to see the esports scene develop for PUBG, and if that happens, it's only going to boost this entire thing. It's going to get bigger and bigger.
That's a huge wild card for 2018. I did mention that in the article as well. That if PUBG can accomplish a goal of being an esport, that's 3 million concurrent players. That that is a big potential player base. Like, even StarCraft 2, with how small the player base is now, has over 3 million in total prize pool for 2017, which is number 8 on this list. And so if a game like PUBG can have an esports scene with that many players, I think it can definitely pass Dota 2 even.
Oh, definitely. The game is huge.
Yeah.
And look at the link I just dropped your way too. This is further proof that League of Legends will be an Olympic game one day.
What is this? Take a look. League of Legends KT Rolster team to participate in the Olympic torch relay. Oh.
Ooh.
What does that mean? They're just gonna walk around with the torch?
Yeah, but why are they doing it, huh? I mean, obviously the Olympic Committee or whoever, wherever it's being hosted had to prove it. There's some foreshadowing, some IRL foreshadowing going on. All right.
Time for me to be a douchebag. This is the peak of what Korea has to offer, boys. This is the peak Korean male right here. All right.
Yes, they are. All right. Look. Those are they get all the ladies. All right. With those league skills. All right. They don't miss CS. All right. You miss CS. They don't miss CS. All right.
All right. I guess not.
That's why they get the waifus. All right.
We'll see. I could definitely be wrong about this. I don't see it being in the Olympics, and I see esports still as more of a marketing division of each individual developer, rather than like a standalone scene or industry. But I could definitely be wrong about that. So it's been growing every year, and I keep doubting it. So maybe I'm missing something here.
Again, $90 million for the Overwatch League is insane. I don't think anyone thought they'd get that kind of money. I think a few of the reactions I've seen on my own Discord is, holy shit, they're never going to get that money back. I don't see Twitch making $90 million off of this. It's near impossible to get that money back on that deal.
Like I said, I think it's just to stop someone else from getting it.
But that's amazing for game companies. That becomes the source of revenue, because if YouTube and Twitch are bidding against each other for this content, it becomes a huge win for the games.
That's true. If that money can be plowed into more maps, game modes, characters, whatever, it's great.
Now the mobile esports scene though is also is going to be its own thing as well. I mean, I think you linked the Summoners War, there was a big tournament going on for that, I think a month or so ago.
Yeah,
and there was over 30,000 people watching that. It was nothing to laugh at. It's a mobile game, but people were watching the esports scene on Twitch for that. So even that game has an esports scene.
Actually, my favorite was the World Championship for Clash Royale. Like in terms of the actual arena and stuff, the production value and stuff, this was pretty impressive. I gotta find one where they're actually like looking at the arena instead of doing. All right, so they have a huge arena behind them, and the arena is kind of like the Dota arena, where the floor is the actual map of Clash Royale.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. I wonder if the pieces are actually moving.
Do you think there'll ever be like a Game of War or Clash of Clans, like esports tournament, where like you're allowed to pay to win? So you have two sides basically just pulling out their credit cards, and it comes out to like which side maxed out their credit card first, and then immediately you got to throw it on your credit card, pull up your wallet, and take a second credit card out, and start maxing that bad boy out too. Because you got to type out the card number, the expiration date, all that bullshit. You got boom, boom, boom. Because those games are designed to have infinite money sinks. No, that's not gonna happen.
So. I don't think so. And to Clash Royale's credit, I know a lot of people say it's pay to win. Maybe the casual mode is because you can just buy more copies of a card, but in the tournament or competitive, modes, all the levels are equalized, right? All the commons are a certain level and stuff. So it's totally skill based. It's not pay to win.
The tournaments, at least. Yeah. Right? It's funny because they make it so the tournaments are fair, and they make it so your matches with friends are fair. So if you challenge your friend in Clash Royale, it's a perfectly balanced game because it auto balances the levels. But when you play your ranked mode, it's the pay to win mode.
Yeah. That game actually reverses everything. So the ranked mode is the casual mode, and the custom game, private game, is the actual mode where it's competitive.
And more schools are also offering, I think, eSports scholarships. I saw a map earlier of like North American collegiate varsity scholarship programs in eSports. And it's actually pretty surprising. Got the image linked in the Twitch chat. But basically almost every state has, well, not almost every, a lot of states have multiple programs for eSports. So again, I wish I was playing video games when this shit was happening.
Yeah.
When I graduated high school, I am confident I could have grinded my way in for some kind of League of Legends scholarship, all right?
I don't know about that. We're already the best strat to beat Omer's team, Ben Singed.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen, all right? That won't appear in my resume. When I apply for my scholarship, I can put my rank, I can put my bullshit, my credentials. I'm not going to mention I'm a one-trick pony. I'm just going to mention my rank. And then obviously I would never make it in esports because they would just ban Singed and I would cry. It's the ultimate counter to Remo.
Rip.
And there's another fun link over here too. It shows like a nice they're actually advertising with billboards too.
Where is this?
It's in Philadelphia.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, seeing that in person kind of. I mean, I don't know how effective that is, but it's neat. It's enough for them to like. Blizzard's spending a lot of money on this as well, and I think we'll find out how much money it's making or losing, or get some kind of idea on Activision Blizzard's next earnings call, because this is the big event for Overwatch, and somebody's gonna ask questions about the Overwatch League in the analyst Q&A. So if I get any information on that, I'll share it in a future podcast, and it'll be on MMOs.com as well. Actually, another fun fact. These earnings released are really interesting because I found information on MapleStory too, which I share in the weekly news recap. But also, what's really neat is basically remember when Lineage 2 Revolution was advertising the shit out of everything on Twitch?
Yep.
The company that makes that, Netmarble, will be publishing their next earnings report in February 11th. So on that date, I'll be able to find out how much money they spent on advertising in relation to their previous quarter. So we can actually measure the impact of the North American launch of Lineage 2 Revolution, how much money they spent plowing their way towards Twitch streamers. And we can isolate that number. And we'll get a pretty good idea how much was spent. So out of curiosity, how much do you think Netmarble spent on marketing that quarter, just basically for the launch of Lineage 2 Revolution? Because we've all seen how many Twitch streams there were pushing that game. I saw ads for that game on Pornhub, no joke. I saw it on Facebook, Pornhub, whether it was a porn site, whether it was a news site, whether it was Facebook, I saw ads for that game fucking everywhere.
I'm gonna say 30 million.
All right, I'm gonna say more than that. I'm gonna say 40 million, and we'll see. We'll see what comes closer when the data comes out next month. Should be a fun read.
Looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You were doing some research before the podcast about Pearl Abyss. Anything interesting there?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty neat. Let me link you what I just put up basically right before the podcast. What's interesting is a lot of people don't even bother looking at these earnings reports because you do find some really cool information that nobody else covers. So like I feel like MMO journalism and game journalism is kind of very, very basic, and I see why people make fun of it, because game journalism for the most part is basically rewording press releases. So when a company like Pearl Abyss or Nexon, they release an update for their game, they basically send a press release to all the game websites, basically outlining what they changed and their announcements. And companies like MMOs.com as well. We take that and we reword it and put it out on MMOs.com, and we try to explain what's going on, right? And that's one thing, but nobody does real journalism anymore, which is like actually looking for information that other people don't cover. So this is a bit of some financial news for Black Desert that I found recently. This is from their earlier Q3 report, which is back in November, but nobody seemed to cover this. But it releases how much money Black Desert makes by region. So I thought it was really interesting to see that over 80% of the money that Black Desert Online makes comes from outside of South Korea. Wow. Over 80%. And you think as a South Korean game, it would have a bigger market share there. I mean, especially we've played so many Korean MMORPGs here in the you and I have, and I'm sure many people in the Twitch stream have as well. Like games like MapleStory, Dungeon Fighter Online. These games are big in Korea and China, but they're not big in America. Like it's pretty rare for a game to do better in America than it does in Korea. Like, a lot of these games
a Korean game.
Yes, a Korean MMORPG typically does better in Korea and Asia than it does in America. I mean, even MapleStory and Dungeon Fighter do really well in China, but even Asia, America and Europe are actually the #1 market for Black Desert, which I think is pretty impressive. 56% of sales come from Americas and Europe, versus 26% for Asia, which is Southeast Asia for the most part, and China as well, and the other remaining 18% comes from South Korea.
I do question what the difference is. There must be a cultural aspect to it, because to me it seems so obvious that like Black Desert is a better game than like Dungeon Fighter or Lineage 1, right? But these games are still making a killing in Korea. Way more than Black Desert. But because
Dare you say something in the water?
I'm just saying, like, whether you like Black Desert or not, at least when you open the game, you know, you're moving, you're fighting, you're looking around, it feels like a quality game. Where when you boot up a lot of these Korean MMORPGs, they just feel like they're from 1990, which they usually are, right? And two, they're just grindy, repetitive, clicky games, and yet they do so much better than these actual quality games. I don't think I can be objective about it, because my culture is coloring me when I think one is way better than the other. But obviously, they disagree.
I mean, different tastes for different people, I mean, it's a different kind of game. I mean, I like MapleStory a lot, but I mean, it's nowhere near, like. But the thing, MapleStory is actually pretty popular in America and Europe, like more so than a lot of the free-to-play and more PC we've played. But like, I don't know, you try getting a Call of Duty bro to play MapleStory, I'll be like, the fuck, you gay? Like, I don't know, if I showed MapleStory to like a COD gamer, they just like think I'm retarded. But it's an actual good game, and I don't know, it still makes some money in South Korea. 20% of their revenue comes from South Korea, which is only like $500,000 a quarter. But I don't know, this game is it's losing out to a lot of other MMORPGs. And the actual numbers, for those curious, Black Desert made about $25.6 million in revenue in the last quarter, which is actually, it's up over 100% from last year. Up over 100%. But quarter over quarter, it's down like 18%. But the numbers are still looking very good if you can see the article if you scroll down to the other chart, which shows their revenues. But this game is doing really well. I mean, Black Desert Online is still killing it. And they're going to be making even more money with the mobile launch as well as the console launch, both of which are scheduled for 2018. I imagine the console launch is probably in the first half, for sure. And the mobile launch is probably in the second half for America, probably in the first half for Korea. But we have no concrete dates on either.
Nice. Good journalism, all right? You get the MMOs.com Journalist of the Year award.
There's I try to keep tabs with all these earnings reports because they are interesting, and I think I did mention last week that MapleStory 2, there's a chance MapleStory 2 might actually come out in America, because Nexon CEO basically said that we're excited to be launching MapleStory 2 around the world. That quote came out from their Q&A session, and they were specifically asked about China, but they responded by saying they're excited to bring MapleStory 2 around the world. And I'm actually optimistic on MapleStory 2. I think the game looks looks really good. And it was actually pretty fun. But the biggest drawback is that it's in Korean, and trying to play the game with the English translations, it doesn't work well, because if you have the English translations on MapleStory 2, some quests literally bug out. And you cannot complete the quest, and it's frustrating until you realize, oh shit, if I turn the translations off and I relaunch the game, I can get past that quest, because it just bugs out and glitches. So it makes it basically impossible to play.
That's what happened to me. I got stuck. This NPC wasn't spawning in a building because I had the translations on. So that was a big roadblock for my progression.
I like the MapleStory 2 restart update video on the Twitch chat, and I think this is actually, I don't know, this is one of the cutest fucking videos I've seen in my life.
All right, what sound would that sound?
Put some sound. Put a little bit of sound when we talk about it. It is so unbelievably cute. I don't know. I absolutely love it. There's just some charm about this video. I mean, it looks really silly, obviously, but there's something. It's amazing. And actually, what's interesting about MapleStory as well as a game is that in that same earnings report, the Nexon CEO was talking about MapleStory, and he's basically saying this is on the surface, MapleStory looks like a childish game, and it does, right? MapleStory looks like a kid's game. Yeah. But when you dig deeper, you have a rich traditional MMORPG experience with a lot of depth. Like, there's a lot more to MapleStory than you first see. And he was basically saying that MapleStory 2 is the same way. At the first look, it really looks like a pretty basic game. But once you get into it, there's the player housing, there's so much customization. It's an actual, there's a lot there. And I would say there's probably more depth in MapleStory 2 than MapleStory 1. I mean, the amount of stuff, the amount of player customization with player housing, the way that's handled is actually remarkable. I haven't seen any modern MMORPG really do a persistent world housing remotely well. And MapleStory 2 at least tries it, and I think they do a pretty good job with it. You can actually get a house in MapleStory 2 inside towns. Like, inside the major towns, outside the towns. They exist in persistent worlds, not in some cornered off bullshit part of the game. And I think that's really well done, because player housing is something I really like about MMORPGs. It adds to the really social experience of MMORPGs, and I don't think any other game really did it well until, you know, I always go back to Ultima Online. The persistent housing in that game was great. The houses were useful, and having it in the persistent world gave it context. MapleStory 2 does that really well too.
Star Wars Galaxies had that too, the persistent housing.
But since the days of Star Wars Galaxies and Ultima Online, basically player housing has always been kind of relegated to this instance zoning. That I think, I'm not sure which game made it popular. No, Dark Age of Camelot had that as well. But even, you know, World of Warcraft kind of added their, I forgot what they're called, but some kind of, I don't like it. So many free-to-play MMORPGs do it as well. I mean, it's a very cheesy, tacky way to add on player housing, but it has no meaning. But in MapleStory 2, it's done. You can actually decorate your house. You can get tons of really cool shit. You can custom teleports in your house. It becomes a really cool way to grow your, you know, to invest your time into the game and get progression that way. So that's why I think MapleStory 2 will do really well in America. I mean, I don't know if this resonates with Korean gamers, because obviously there is a disconnect between what works in Korea and what works in America. Black Desert, for example, didn't work in Korea nearly as well as it worked in America. I think MapleStory 2 will actually work better in America than it did in Korea. Like, certain games just resonate better. And I think MapleStory 2 combines Minecraft elements with MMORPG elements with, like, old school MMORPG player housing elements. And I think those three combinations are going to be freaking amazing. Like, I'm confident if they just release MapleStory 2 in America, even as the game is, they're still adding new content, but even as is, I think it'll do really well.
I think you're right though. I think it will be one of those games that do better in America than it has been in Korea. I don't know how Restart has been received in Korea, but I do remember back when we played MapleStory 2, it was actually not doing well in Korea. I think there was only one server. It was, you know, pretty lightly populated. So hopefully Restart helped it out in the home market, and it will be fun here.
Yeah, the Chinese version launched into open beta just recently, and they said they were happy with the Chinese launch. And obviously, you know, that's like the first major launch for MapleStory 2 outside of Korea. So the fact that actually just happened, again, MapleStory 2 is being rolled out. You know, there's people at Nexon thinking about MapleStory 2 actively for the first time in a while. Because again, this is the first time basically it's coming out of South Korea, and if it does well over there, they're going to push it out to North America. And they did hire that one guy like a year and a half ago now to be the producer for the American version. So I'm optimistic. I know a lot of people do ask about MapleStory 2 in my weekly news recap videos, and for the most part, I can't tell them like there's anything new happening. But I guess with this development, there's something happening. The Chinese launch is up as well. You can play the Chinese version, and I'm hyped for it.
Okay, to bring it back to the West real quick, you're talking about persistent housing and, you know, RPGs, MMORPG stuff. One of the first launches of this year, MMO-wise, at least an early access launch, is going to be Life is Feudal MMO. And the beauty of this game is nobody can argue that it's not an MMO. Okay, it's right in the name. It's literally called Life is Feudal MMO. All right,
but it doesn't have one giant persistent. I don't know. I feel like somebody's gonna find that excuse to say it's not an MMO, because it doesn't. It's not gonna fit the same traditional definition of MMORPG from the old school days. So I'm sure somebody's gonna be upset over that. But yeah, it is actually in the name. This game actually is a pretty cool concept. It mixes the Rust, you know, kind of open world. If you play Life is Feudal, which is the original game, it mixes that with MMO elements. One giant persistent server with all these people in it, and it's going to basically try to create that Rust-like survival experience into an MMO world, and hopefully it'll be better than Worm Online.
I'm curious to see how the server will handle lots of players on one map. It's a big map, 21 by 21 kilometers. I'm not sure, like, how it depends how, I guess, how fast you walk, but 21 by 21 km. Night and day, weather, all this stuff, and apparently everything outside the starting town is going to be player made. So players are going to make their own towns, not just houses. And it's going to be this whole, you know, open world, you know, basically slugfest like Rust.
Look, it sounds cool, but the problem is it might end up being something like Worm Online, where it becomes too difficult to play.
Yeah,
I mean, time will tell if they can. You know, it's going to be a good balancing act between like Minecraft style easiness and maybe Worm Online style depth. I think games like Rust and Ark have a pretty good medium for that. But even like if you just take Rust or Ark and just allow it to be in a persistent server with tens of thousands of players in a single server, I think that alone could be amazing.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer to how many players can play this, but I will say I'm actually been very disappointed in the pace of I don't know what the bottleneck is, technology, networking, people who don't upgrade their computers, but lag and disconnects are still a huge issue. Like in PUBG, right? With 100 players, there's still a lot of lag in that game. Okay, despite all the resources they have. So and someone mentioned Conan Exiles. The max players was supposed to be 64 per map, but after 20 it starts lagging, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how is it that Battlefield 1942 handles 64 players with tanks, with vehicles, with airplanes? How did with jeeps and stuff driving around? How did that game handle it back in? I don't even know when it came out. Let me check.
Honestly, I don't know. It is really bizarre that I feel like we've devolved almost in online, Battlefield. It's insane that there's more stuff happening in Conan Exiles. Maybe the way the shit adds up, like when you build houses and stuff. When you have 60 people building houses, yeah, it can maybe impact that more.
But what about PUBG then? You're not building houses in PUBG.
Yeah, I don't know. PUBG is a dumpster fire of netcode. That game actually has some really, really bad netcode. There was a great video. BattleSense, I think, released a video. He's the guy that does. He analyzes netcode for a lot of multiplayer games, and the average latency and delay in PUBG is like 170 versus like 50 for Fortnite Battle Royale and about 50 for H1Z1. He looks at a lot of netcode, and PUBG is a dumpster fire. So if your hits aren't registering, you got a quality excuse with PUBG. It's actually really bad netcode.
Okay, so Battlefield 1942 came out in 2002. That's 16 years ago. That's probably older than some people watching this. And that game, guys, had 64 players on a map, a big map too. It wasn't a small map, with like dozens of tanks, jeeps, airplanes. There was even like ships in some of them, aircraft carriers with like 12 ships, per carrier. And people, it wasn't like there were some disconnects obviously back in 2002. But I mean, there was hit registry was fine. I could snipe, I could aim. I remember sniping. I remember, it's playing just fine. So what happened? Why has there been literally zero? At best, there's been no progress. And at worst, and more realistically, I think we've gone the other way. It's actually gotten worse since 2002. Because, like I said, Conan Exiles can't handle 20. And PUBG can't even handle 100. And PUBG is not as complicated as 1942 was with airplanes and tanks and stuff.
There's only one word: incompetence. Because I actually played the NetEase mobile game, the Rules of Survival. I was just playing for fun, and the game actually doesn't have like that same lag problem or performance problem. The game actually runs really well on my iPhone, and I never had the disconnect problem or the latency problem or even the FPS lag, which PUBG was plagued with for a long time. So it works really well on mobile for a lot of games. For like this mobile game already, maybe America's just falling behind on the netcode stuff. Maybe some of these Chinese games have it figured out.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, obviously the artists are getting better. The 3D graphics are getting better, right? Rendering. But maybe whoever's in charge of the lower level coding, I don't know. Maybe they're just slacking. They're sleeping at the wheel. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe they're all using the same engine, the same netcode engine from forever ago, and it just sucks. Maybe. I agree with you. It's unfortunate that it's really devolved this. It really hasn't gotten anywhere. Yeah. You think by now we'd have the dream of playing Battlefield 1942 for us when we were younger was that holy shit, if we have 1942 today and it's got 64 players, in like 5 years from now we would play the same shit. We're gonna be on Omaha Beach with 500 people, like 250 versus 250, Omaha Beach landing, fucking amazing shit, right? That never happened. That dream never happened. It basically peaked at 64 and that was it.
It actually went down. Insane. The Battlefield series actually had less max players for the next few games after that. I think it might be back at the 64 now. You played the Battlefield 1 most recently.
Yeah.
But it did go down for a bit. And same with WoW. I had the same mentality in WoW. I was doing 40-man raids back in 2004. And I thought, man, if MMORPGs are here in 2004, right? In 2018, I'm going to be doing like a 400-man raid, Or like a 500 versus 500 castle siege. And no lag, just, going in there. But no, we actually went backwards. 40 is too much for a whole server now, for in like Conan Exiles. So it really, I think that's been the disappointing part, the technology. A lot of people blame game designers, like MMORPGs are all clones of each other, yada yada. But I think the technology has actually been falling behind too, and I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen much growth in the genre.
Maybe that's why another reason we haven't seen persistent world housing in MMORPGs. Because maybe that requires too much server resources, or they haven't been able to code around it. Yeah. But again, that's weird because again, Ultima Online had this in like 1999. That's such a fun part of MMORPGs for me. I mean, MMORPGs have to be more than just the gameplay. We've talked about this a lot, but like just remembering back to the housing in Ultima Online and remembering back the way even MapleStory 2 did housing, I thought it was phenomenal. Like it's such a cool part of a game when you see somebody like we always talk when you see somebody in town with like the fucking tier 2 armor, tier 2 epics, wearing these really badass pauldrons from like vanilla WoW. You're like, damn, this guy's got a big dick. I want to be like that guy. But when you see somebody's house, like he's got a fucking castle And like you go and he's got all these rare shit. He's got this gold, like just basically showing off his wealth in his house. Like, damn, this guy's got like all this amazing shit. It gives you motivation to like be that guy. You know, nowadays that motivation isn't there. Games have really, MMORPGs especially, have really dumbed down their content. You know, every MMORPG has dumbed down their content. Basically, you know, you can level up to max level and like Dark Age, even the old school games like World of Warcraft, Dark Age of Camelot, very quickly. They've made the leveling curve much easier. They got rid of the challenge, and the challenge is only there in the niche part of the late game. That I don't know, the games themselves have become like walking simulators more so than actual games, unfortunately, and that kind of detracts from the experience a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having said all that, hopefully Life is Feudal has figured out a way to do it. I will be trying it on January 11th when it is in early access.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons people still kind of cling on to all the old MMORPGs, games like RuneScape, Tibia, you know, like, and all the private servers like Moo Online and stuff. Like, people have really not embraced many new MMORPGs over the years. I mean, actually, a Shadowbane emulator just launched this last week, and an RMORPG was all over it. There's over, I think, about 1,000 players online. Which is, Shadowbane was, you know, some old school hardcore PvP. 1,000 players on there is pretty impressive. That's like, look, if you look on Steam charts, like not that many MMORPGs get over 1,000 players online.
I somehow always skip Shadowbane. I never really got into that one.
Yeah. Same for the most part. I mean, can you think of any other modern MMORPG that did housing well?
People like the BDO one. I know Zeem in chat was mentioning how great it is. It's basically instance though, where in each town there are certain house locations you can claim, and when you walk through the door, you'll go into your version of it. But
okay, look, I didn't actually look at the player housing in BDO when I played, so I did see the default one you see in the tutorial. But are they all like that? Are they actual houses, or are they like you go into a door and you just choose whose house you want to instance into, or can you see the house on the outside?
No, you have to choose. From the outside, they all look the same, and once you go through the door, you choose which instance to go into.
That's so lame, though. I don't know. I mean,
it's definitely instance housing. It's not like persistent world.
Because I know Final Fantasy 14, which again I've been playing a lot, has instance housing as well. But I think they did a pretty good job with the way they do handle instance housing. It's not a perfect system. It's not an ideal system, but I thought it was pretty cool because you can see your neighbors. You know, like there's an instance zone, and there's like 20 clones of that zone. It's really stupid, but you can like walk around in that zone, and like there's like a lake, there's like a pier, there's a beach. You can see like all these houses in there. It's kind of cool. You know, you can talk to your neighbors and shit. So, is there like no neighbors? Because I remember the houses being inside the cities themselves, and you just open a door and you teleport.
Yes, and but each city has multiple house plots. You can make yours, right? But you can't like see your neighbors through the window or anything. No, nothing like that.
That's rip. I think it'd be cool. I mean, it's still nice that they have it, but I don't know. I want to see a modern MMORPG do housing well. You know, my perfect MMORPG. I mean, you need to have good player housing. It gives you a reason to say that can become a late game in and of itself. You know, your late game in MMORPG can't just be raiding. You know, the end game PvP or even end game PvP. You need to have like PvP, PvE content, raiding, crafting end game, housing end game, exploration end game. You need all that shit. I mean, it just I need a reason to stay in an MMORPG, and if it's just raiding, because like if you look at just raiding, with Final Fantasy 14, for most people, once they finish the last tiers of raiding, they're done. You know, and most anyone that really goes mega tryhard can do that. They're arguably now with Mega Coil they can't, because that's like the really aspirational content, which is great. But you know, once you reach a lot of people to basically log in, do their 4 raids, you know, a week and log off, and that's not healthy for an MMORPG. My perfect MMORPG is Paria, but it's never coming out. Feels bad, man.
I don't.
So I'm with you, dude. Everything we read about Paria Chronicles, there's hype behind it. You know, I'm still excited for it. There's been no release date, nothing, but it hasn't been canceled yet either. So there's some, you know, there's still hope for it. I'm looking forward to playing Paria eventually, though. Paria Chronicles hopefully will revive the dream.
Any hype for Hyper Universe? It's also coming out this month.
It's coming out this month. I got minimal hype for that one. Honestly, it's another MOBA. Its side scrolling stuff is a little bit different, but I still have there's one thing about online games that really grind my gears. Maybe it's just me being particularly picky, right? But when a game, especially a multiplayer game, requires you to do this like lengthy tutorial, and they require you to do some kind of placement matches before you can play with friends against bots, it freaking grinds my gears. Because in Hyper Universe, you had to do like back when it first went to early access, you had to do about 2 hours worth of AI games. So it's players versus AI, and after you reach a certain level, you can start playing against actual opponents. but until you beat the AI for about 2 hours, you just couldn't play against people, and that is insane. Like I can't in good conscience ask one of my friends like, hey, yeah, let's go play Hyper Universe Early Access together. I'll give you a key. Like I had keys to give away for the game, but like I couldn't ask my friend to play 2 hours of bullshit just so we can play together. And I'm not going to burden my friends for that. Forcing AI games is unbelievably counterproductive. People that played MOBAs before don't want to go through that bullshit. Give people an option. Like, hey, are you new to the game? Okay, then you gotta do this. Or if you're gonna force people to AI games, do like 1 or 2. Who's doing 10 hours of this, 2 hours of this bullshit? I know Freestyle 2 actually has 10 games as well, which is unbelievable bullshit. But that only takes like 20 minutes versus the 2 hours in Hyper Universe.
Yeah, I actually did my 10 placement games, not placement games, but bot games, in Freestyle the other day. So now I am now a Freestyle 2 initiate.
Yeah, I'm level 47 in Freestyle in my center, and it's a game. That's been the game I've been playing this last 2-3 weeks actually. Freestyle 2 Street Basketball. I give them some endorsements. So if you're curious about playing a sports MMO, give Freestyle 2 a try. I honestly don't even like basketball games or any sports games, but that one's a keeper, boys. That one's a keeper.
Yeah, actually, that's a good comparison. Battle Right did the tutorial well, and I will say even the Freestyle one, again, 20 minutes for 10 games. It's bad, but it's not terrible. The problem is the MOBA genre, because in a MOBA, if you're playing against bots, well, not only is it like monotonous, because like you already know you're gonna win. There's no like chance of like losing. But 2, it takes a while to win, right? Because of towers and stuff. And 3, you don't actually learn to play by playing bots, because the way you play against bots is always pushing forward, right? There's no sense of pulling back, dodging. So you don't actually learn to play the game. So when you actually play against a player, if you're using the same mindset that you learned in a tutorial, you're just gonna get killed because you're gonna run up to them, spam all your buttons, and then just die because you're standing there. It's not a good way to teach the game.
Does anyone like to do any like actual gamers like tutorials, or lengthy tutorials? It's like the most frustrating thing in gaming. If you can skip it, it's fine. But like I don't know, it really pisses me off when a game. It almost feels like maybe it's just me and I'm just being unreasonable, and that's possible, right? I almost feel like a game is insulting my intelligence when it forces me to go through the tutorial. It makes me feel dumb. Like it's trying to hold my hand in this shit, and I get like actually frustrated, and I actually get mad. I actually left a negative review for Hyper Universe because of the mandatory tutorials, and not just that, because I wanted to play the fucking game, which is what made it exceptionally bad. I left a negative review, and I commented on like every one of their dev posts on Steam saying, "The fuck, get rid of this shit," and I complained about it. Like, I don't usually do that, but I actually wanted to play this game because my friends were saying it's fun, but I didn't want to do that bullshit. I eventually grinded through it, but I'm still pissed off about it. I'm still salty.
Well, there it is. Someone in chat here, Lucifer's King, says it actually is possible to lose to the bots because he was in a match where that happened. I would be shocked. I thought the bot matches in Hyper Universe were just super one-sided. It was like 20-0, everyone on my team. But I mean, I guess anything is possible. Maybe they were AFK, because I wouldn't blame somebody for just going AFK once they launch this bot match just to get through it.
Or what about when games like hide the fact that they're bot games? Because I know Paladins does that to a degree.
Freestyle.
I know Master does it as well, and for most recently Freestyle. So because Altai was doing his placement games in Freestyle as AI games, right? And it's basically a 3-on-3 game, and everyone's AI except you, and you're required to do that before you play with other people. And the bots in Freestyle have actually pretty clever names. So do you remember some of that?
Yes. So one of my teammates' names in Freestyle was Tall Asian OP. I thought that was amazing because Freestyle is a Asian game and it's about basketball. So Tall Asian OP was just a fabulous name, I thought.
And not just that, I was watching my friend play as well, and one of the bots in the lobby gave him an XD face. So the bots are programmed to have randomized names that could be believable human names with numbers. Like there's one guy like XX the Legend XX, and like they just drop XD faces in the lobby to like make you think they're players. They're not. They're bots because they didn't fully hide it. Because if you click F5, you can see your ping in that game, and if the bots don't have ping, it means they're bots. If a player doesn't have any ping, it's just blank. They're bots. So it's pretty silly to see games that try hiding the fact that they have bot matches, because even the developers realize players hate this shit. So they're trying to kind of sneak it in by making people not realize. And somebody mentioned Master X Master. They did it as well. Yes. Once in a while in Master X Master, you would actually queue against bots when I think you couldn't find players right away. Yeah. Only in the early levels. Only in the early levels, which again was unbelievably stupid and frustrating.
You think in the future, if they ever make AI, okay, imagine like you're playing an MMORPG, but all the NPCs and monsters are AI, like actual like feeling AI, and you're just running around killing them, and they're stuck in there.
Honestly, not just that. I mean, the players could be AI as well eventually. I think if AI technology ever gets like really fucking good, where it becomes like every monster in the game can become like this sentient, like, not actually sentient, but like it can fool you to think it's sentient, right? A sentient being, it could be freaking amazing. Like I don't know, that would revolutionize MMOs or online games. Even like imagine all the players are bots as well, like, and they just talk to you. You have a relationship with them. You cyber with them. You send them dick pics, and they're just AI, and you don't even know.
Surprised there wasn't like an anime about this already. So like imagine like these orcs that are always programmed to attack the town at like 3 p.m. sharp. The orc horde respawns and attacks, and then but one day they decide like they figure out they're just AI and they don't attack, and all the players are waiting for them in town, but the orcs like hack into the system and like disconnect the players. That'd be a good anime or something.
There should be, yeah. I feel like that could be an anime,
like
about
a show
that.
or something.
At that point, would it still be an MMO? Let's say you play a game entirely by yourself, right? Or at least you think it's MMO, right? You know, but you're the only one playing. Everyone else in the game is a bot. But they're such good, clever bots. They're basically trick you to being thinking they're players. Is it still an MMO? Altai, what do you think?
Yes, because if they are indistinguishable from a human player, then they're the same thing as a player. They're not a human player, but they're a conscious player.
But they're not a human player then. Well, so like if I show you an art piece, right? Like next to there was actually a really good post on Reddit about this. There was like a piece of paper, and on the cap you could see like a bottle of beer, and there was a drawn beer can, right? Like next to each other. The drawn one looks indistinguishable from the real one, and he rolled over the fake one over the drawing, and like that's the only moment you realize it was fake.
Wow.
So like, does that mean it was real? No. So maybe it's, I don't know.
I don't know either. Deep.
But the emergent gameplay that would arise from that would be amazing. Because I think the problem, like a lot of MMORPGs, the dream for MMORPGs is this concept called emergent gameplay. And games like Guild Wars 2 have tried to make this like they try to program it into the game, right? With like some spontaneous random quests throughout the game, right? And they're kind of cool. Like by far, it's one of the best quest systems in MMORPGs. But emergent gameplay has to rely on players more so than these quests that pop up. Yeah, the quests bring players together, but there's got to be mechanics in the game for players to do their own thing, which I think a lot of MMORPGs kind of fail at today. Like there's got to be something built into the system of an MMORPG where emergent gameplay just happens, and that's one of the reasons open world, full loop PvP games did have that, or not even full open world. Like again, World of Warcraft, when you kill people on Horde or Alliance, like you didn't really get anything for it, but like it created emergent gameplay. PvP is one way to do that. I don't know if quests can actually do a good job of doing that. I think it's a better experience than traditional fetch quests from NPCs in towns. But I don't know. I don't think any MMORPG really has good emergent gameplay just yet. The emergent gameplay comes from the fact that guild drama happens, right? And that's where all the emergent gameplay happens. Basically in the chat. The drama in the game and the chat. Whether it's guild chat or town chat, server chat, that's where the drama happens. That's where the emergent gameplay is. But they got to fit that into the gameplay somehow. Whatever MMORPG can do that best, I think we'll do really well.
To get back to the MMO thing, whether it's an MMO, if you're the only player, remember, it requires someone. Lucifer King said, you need multiple players, but they don't have to be human players. So as long as the bots are playing the way a human would play, they're also players, right?
I feel like players kind of refers to an actual person.
What is a person? Does it have to be like 23 genomes or whatever? No, as long as it can make decisions,
So you play against a bot game? Are you playing against people? You play against players, I guess, sure, but it's not a multiplayer game.
Well,
multiplayer.
Player, yeah. Why can't if the bots are indistinguishable from humans? They're players.
No, but so if I play against a really good AI, I'm playing a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're applying like the Turing test and
exactly
consciousness to like different terminology. I don't know if that makes
I
much
think
sense.
it flies. I think it flies.
What is this, Westworld? Look, it might not be an MMO, like strictly speaking, in that case, or multiplayer game, strictly speaking, but for all intents and purposes, it is. If you believe you're playing a multiplayer game, whether you are or not doesn't matter.
But how can you convince me that you're not a bot?
Your reality.
Well, what if you're a bot and this world is like a program or whatever? So,
sure,
if I have to make the same assumptions about you, and if I'm playing a game and I'm playing on my screen and your avatar is looking at me, if the same assumptions apply to that avatar as they do to you in the real world, then that's a player.
Yeah, again, if you believe it's a player and you're convinced it's a player, it is a player for all intents and purposes. Doesn't mean it is. You know, for you it is, and that your reality becomes real for you.
For you.
For you. Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll agree to disagree on that.
Mm-hmm. But I think that'd be awesome though. Just if AI ever gets that good, I think AI is still kind of pretty lame. But that'd be a really cool application. Like I think that'd be way cooler than bots. Like there was a Dota bot that played Shadow Fiend, ran down mid, right? It was kind of cool, right? The mechanical skill involved in that, and we've seen bots play like chess really well. The Google bot beat us the world championship at Go or something, and bots are playing those games really well. But if I can see a bot convince people that it's a person, like the Turing test, in MMORPGs alone, like that would be unbelievably cool. If you could just talk to somebody and not know it's a player, that'd be amazing. And someone
in chat mentioned they wouldn't make a game just for bots to play each other. I disagree with that. I think one of the best learning environments for like consciousness would be MMORPG populated by just bots playing with each other, and then you could have generations of that to breed the best and most successful kinds of player. Like the best raider, the best AI raider could come from like multiple generations of breeding raider bots. So I think there would be definitely a use case for running the game just for bots.
Yeah, that actually gives me I got a funny business idea for a stream. All right, I'm gonna pitch it to you guys live on the podcast. All right, minor side distraction here, but let me know if this is a good idea. We have it'll almost be like Salty Bet, right, where bots are playing each other, but it's very easy to set up. So what it will be is we'll take up a game like Mario Party 5 or something, and we'll put 4 bots to play against each other. That's it, 4 bots just playing against each other. And players can bet on who's going to win. And we take a cut. Thoughts?
Let's do it.
Isn't that genius? Because there's so much RNG from the beginning of the game on where people will land. Like certain bots, like the way they interact will be completely different. And you can even like change it so like if you bet on the easy bot, you get like 3 times your money. If you bet on the hard bot, you only get like 1.3 times your money. You put different stats on it. I'd watch it. I got Optoids that did watch it. Anyone else? Yay or nay? Good idea, great idea.
Okay, we gotta straw poll this later.
All right, we gotta straw poll in the post game. I feel like that could be hella fun. You could bet with like with like fake money.
I got it. Something that's salty, but like you said, with ICO, you gotta bet with currency. You mine.
Yeah, some bullshit digital currency. That you can with MMO coin, which we're gonna set up, and we'll be rich.
There you go.
Underground video game gambling.
I had no idea what video to play while we're talking about AI, so I searched cyberpunk music and I put up this picture of this car. I don't know. Hopefully
that's pretty.
Hopefully this puts you in the mood.
For me. I like it. Again, I think we need AI and MMORPGs. I'm waiting for that, but unfortunately, I'm not optimistic on that happening anytime in the next like 30, 40 years. I don't think AI is anywhere near that just yet. We're still trying to figure out how to play Go. To actually trick people into thinking they're human is way off. There are chatbots out there you can talk to today, but they're not very good.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got coming out this year.
Any other goodies? I'm still excited for Chronicles, but that
is not coming out this year.
Oh, you talk about a game that shut down this year.
Let's do it.
Tiger Knight Empire War. I'm not sure if anybody still remembers that game.
It shut down?
It's shutting down tomorrow.
Oh my goodness! What a loss! What a loss! I remember playing this one.
I am actually very proud of the way I started this news article because I don't know shit about music. But I feel like I incorporate some quality pop culture into this. So I
love it.
In the immortal words of Queen, another one bites the dust. Tiger Knight Empire War is scheduled to shut down tomorrow. That's like the one music reference I've made in my life, and like something I've written. So I'm giving myself mega props for that.
Man, what a game!
And that is actually the only song I know from Queen. Literally the only one. But yeah, the game's shutting down tomorrow. It was kind of different though. This one, it was like this weird Dynasty Warriors-esque game, maybe by a Chinese company too, but it was actually different from any other free-to-play game I played. Yeah,
I think we played this for Sunday Funday one week, and I was just confused by this one, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Actually, somebody on Facebook sent me a reminder this game was shutting down. They didn't announce it themselves, or I didn't get a press release about it. So, Sun and Orochi, appreciate the heads up on that one.
Grazie.
I did not know We're the Champions was from Queen. Sleepy Shrike. No, I had no idea. My musical knowledge, my musical elo is literally like 0. For Honor and Lawbreakers are next. I mean, Lawbreakers, I think it's teetering on shutting down, but they keep saying they're going to keep trying. But who knows? Next time basically already gave up on it, but Ballsky is still trying.
We did not talk about Paladins Battle Royale. How do you feel about that? I feel like that another one joins the hype machine.
That's a big one. Paladins Royale is a big one. I think it's actually a really cool idea. I mean, we've seen Battle Royale knockoffs, but seeing it with a Battle Royale spin on a hero shooter is pretty fucking amazing, actually. I'm trying to think, like, if I could play Paladins characters in a Battle Royale setting, that could be really cool. I'm actually hyped for that. I mean, obviously, Hi-Res Studios isn't known for their originality. I mean, but it looks pretty hyped to me. I've seen the trailer. They're 20-minute matches or so.
How many players?
And
100?
100 players, yep.
Come on. Here's the thing. Do they all have to copy it so blatantly? Why can't they, like, innovate a little? Make it, like, 120, 150? Make the map a little bit, like, different? Like, I don't know.
Well, I kind of wish they did that because, honestly, the thing I don't like about PUBG and all the Battle Royale games is I feel like that there are not enough people on a map. I feel like if you could put 200 people on a map, 300 people on a map, that'd be way, way cooler. Because let's be real, most of the map in PUBG goes underutilized, and same for Fortnite Battle Royale. Like, you have this giant map, but literally half of it or 2/3 will never get touched. Nobody will ever go to 2/3 of the map, but they still only have 100 players. If you have more people, multiple planes, everyone will have to go everywhere, and it becomes way cooler.
All right, I got an idea, guys. You know, the Switch came out, and I think so. The Switch version of Smash Brothers is going to be Super Smash Brothers Royale. It's going to be a 100-player map. You pick a character like Pikachu or Mario. You parachute onto the island.
Genius.
Into Peach's castle. You know, all the rooms and stairs, and you gotta find each other and just beat each other up.
And if you get knocked off the island, you die. And every time you get hit, it raises your percentage like it does in Smash Brothers, right?
There you go.
And if you hit by like a smash tag, you might knock you off the island if you're really close to the edge. Boom.
There it is.
One stock. Of course, it's Battle Royale. It's gotta be one stock gaming. But I mean, though these maps are about 300 times the size of a traditional map on Paladins. But doesn't that look cool though? Because
it does look good.
So many. It actually looks interesting. I actually want to play it.
Yeah.
Because you have abilities, it's a hero shooter. I think what's funny is there was a quote from the Hi-Res CEO about games like not being original anymore. I feel like he is part of the problem for that.
Pot calling kettle black.
Mm-hmm. There's no originality in video games anymore, he said. Unique ideas or something. Let's see if we can find the quote. Yep, I can't find it. But yeah, I'm hyped for this one.
I feel like the graphics really work to his advantage here. It looks a lot like a smoother, cleaner Fortnite.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the same art style, you expect in Fortnite. Yeah, Sleepy's right. I think I saw it on Reddit, but I couldn't find the article right now. But they basically said that there's a lack of originality in games now, and everything kind of reiterates off each other. But it just feels so silly coming from Hi-Res. Hero
shooter battle royale. What they got to do next is add lanes and creeps, okay, to this map. Combine all the meme genres.
Mm-hmm. There's also other updates coming for Paladins. I mean, Paladins is a pretty big success story.
Yep.
I mean, the game it's huge. It's like the regular version of Paladins is basically Overwatch Lite, and it's working for it. I mean, this is what Lawbreakers could have been potentially if they didn't go with the buy to play model. I feel like if Paladins was buy to play, I don't know. I don't think anyone's gonna rush to buy it.
You're right. I don't think so. Nope. Hi-Res does have another game. I actually haven't even heard of this one that much. I don't know. Let's see if you have them. I'll put the trailer on here.
Is it the mobile game?
It's called no. It's not. Maybe. It's called no. I know it's got a PC version. It might also be mobile. I don't know. It's called Hand of the Gods, aka Smite Tactics.
Sounds like a mobile game.
It's a card game.
Oh, I actually played this game. Really? I did personally for this game, but I don't remember it at all. I played this shit.
It's PC, right?
Yeah.
How is it?
I don't know. I don't remember being anything special.
It's not that popular on Steam right now.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Talk about card games. Do you remember Chronicle RuneScape Legends?
Oh yeah, I do.
I thought that game was pretty fun.
I thought it was okay.
I'm kind of sad to see. I'm kind of sad to see that one. That one didn't do very well. And they're a pretty popular franchise behind it, RuneScape, and it was actually kind of different. The way it played was different from other card games. So despite its uniqueness, despite having a big franchise behind it, the game kind of failed. So Feels bad, man.
Is it still up? Probably, right?
I'm not sure, probably, because they used one of our quotes from the trailer, so that was kind of cool. Oh, in other news, Doki Doki Literature Club hit 2 million downloads.
Wow.
That game, yeah, it's something else. It's quite a ride. I actually streamed the entire game. The VOD is on YouTube. Definitely an interesting experience.
All right, Chronicle RuneScape Legends is still alive.
Doki Doki is a visual novel. It's basically a story you just read. There's no actual gameplay, really. Very minimal gameplay.
Can you guess how many players are playing Chronicle RuneScape Legends on Steam right now?
I'm gonna say 10.
15. So 50% better. 50% better than you thought. That's pretty impressive.
They're booming, all right.
They're booming over there.
No, yeah, the game's not doing well. Gwent is still doing pretty well though. But I feel like there's too many card games now. I don't think the card game, digital card game market is really that big.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be dominated by Hearthstone and whoever's number 2 and 3. Shadowverse, they have all the players. Everyone's kind of fighting for scraps at this point. Maybe that's why League didn't make a card game either.
Do you think? Do you remember Poxnora?
Vaguely, the game's still around.
Yeah, I mean that game. They were way ahead of the curve on this one. This game was it's like super old. It's like super janky. Back when even when I played it, it was super janky. Like over 10 years ago. But they were way ahead of the ball here. It's basically the miniature game, collectible. At least they're original though, even all the way back then. Nothing's. I don't think any of the games that came out recently, including whether it's RuneScape, whatever Chronicles, Legends, or this game, the Smite one. None of them are as in depth and interesting. I think as Poxnora. I just wish they would redo like the engine or something to make it a little more smooth.
Poxnora was kind of like I guess Mage Knight to a degree, like these figurines battling on a board. You do have games kind of like that now, like Duelist, because if you look at the grid, it kind of reminds me of Duelist, another relatively newish, game on Steam. But I'm not how popular is Poxnora anyway? How many people play that one?
Let me see. Let me check if it's on Steam.
I don't know. I mean, another game that's on Steam killing on the card game space is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which is basically just Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think that game is really carried by nostalgia and just basically that, because I think the card game itself is so poorly designed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! I've actually played Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently on on a website that lets you play with friends with whatever decks you want, and the game itself is just I think it's so poorly designed. But hey, it does really well. Shadowverse made about $100 million 2 years ago. That's when we got the most recent data. So I'm sure Duel Links is minting money. Yeah, it's a port of the mobile game, I know, but it gets huge props for its nostalgia factor.
I haven't. The last time I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Was actually not that long ago. It was like with Yomar, like maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. We played the actual card game, and I don't know. It hasn't aged well, IMO.
No, it just does not. I don't know. It's just not a balanced game at all. Too many cards are worthless. That's a problem with a lot of card games. Cards end up becoming worthless.
Indeed.
Anything else? It's been a pretty light week for happenings on the MMO scene. Mainly because again, it's still really recently after New Year's, so not a lot of big updates.
I have a quick tidbit. It has to do with the eSports thing that we talked about at the beginning. ASUS invested $16 million to open a League of Legends eSports headquarters in China. So
the fuck is an eSports headquarters?
I have no. I guess a building where they.
What does that? What does that include? What does that mean? What are they doing in the headquarters?
They're probably gonna house their team, I guess, or the training center. Besides that, here's a fun fact. How much do you guys think Star Citizen raised in 2017?
Oh God!
Not since its inception, but just since 2017. Anyone know?
Oh, lots, probably millions.
$35 million, just in 2017. That's a nice chunk of change to make every year for a game. For not having a game yet.
That is impressive that they raise that kind of money. If a game makes $37 million a year, that's a successful video game. All right, if they can make that regularly year over year, that's insane. And they have it without even having a game.
Yeah.
So that's even more. That's even more impressive.
And I feel like if they can make that much every year, like what incentive do they have to ever finish the game? That's a nice steady That's like $3 million a month.
And look at it this way too, because imagine they release Star Citizen. There's two paths, right? Star Citizen releases or it doesn't. They choose not to release it. If they release it it could be a flop and everybody hates it and they'll quit. They stop giving them money because when the game is out and you don't like it, you'll stop giving them money. Or if they keep prolonging the development cycle and they can make $37 million a year, why wouldn't you do that? And only release it and then take that, because when you release it, you kind of got to roll the dice. Will people like it or not? It seems kind of weird incentives.
And I got another fun stat here. How much did Kickstarter raise for games in the games category for all of 2017? So this is every game on Kickstarter combined for 2017. And you can just mental math that number, guys. The number is 172 million. Pretty big chunk of change, I'd say.
Well, it's a lot of money.
All right,
a lot of dough.
That's all I got. What do you got?
What do we got? We should mention actually. There's I'm gonna throw this plug in because they advertise with us. All right, so I gotta give our boys some plug-in. There's you'd be surprised how popular these old private server games are. Like it blows my mind when I look back at it because I've seen like Moo Online has like private servers with thousands of players. You've seen all the vanilla WoW servers before. Even today they have tens of thousands of players. There's a game Tales of Pirates. It used to be available through IGG, and that shut down I think a year or two ago. But there are so many private servers for that game too. It's insane. Like personally, like, I play Tales of Pirates. It looks like a very janky Ragnarok, right? Like I'd rather play Ragnarok Online private servers than Tales of Pirate, but I never got into it that much, right? But there are so many private servers, and they have there are numerous private servers for that game that have over 500 players online at once. That is, I don't understand like how that's a thing.
It is crazy. This game is so old at this point. Do you have a trailer for this or something?
Yeah. Go to the. Let me look at a trailer for this. Okay. I uploaded on the MMOs.com YouTube channel their trailer. It's called Pirates Online. PirateGames.online.
I played this back on MMO Hut, like back in the day. Mm-hmm. And even back then I thought it was a pretty old game. I don't know what year it came out in China.
There are 738 players online on this game right now on this single server.
And there are multiple private servers for this game.
Oh, and it's remarkable how popular these old school games are. People don't want to give up their old school games. Again, I'd personally rather play Ragnarok Online myself. But these games are booming. And actually, what's good about this scene actually is that people say when private servers kind of like take away business from the official servers, but now that there's actually no official server for this game, so the fact that private servers exist is I think a positive.
Yeah,
like, I don't think anyone can dispute the fact that it's a positive when literally there is no other alternative. When a game is running a private server for an existing game, there's an argument to be made that it's taking away business and they're doing all this bullshit and it's not good for the industry. I can respect that argument even though I disagree with it, but in this case, I think they're doing a good service.
Well, I just want to plug a game I'm excited for again. It's kind of related to this pirate stuff. Sea of Thieves. All right, if you're playing Tales of Pirates, guys, maybe consider upgrading to a real game.
That's not a real MMORPG though. Tales of Pirates is a real MMORPG.
So this game is coming out March 20th on Xbox and PC. It will not be free to play, probably, obviously.
No.
But I don't think it'll have a subscription or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks pretty cool. It looks like a fun game to play with your friends. You can like
a fun co-op game.
Yeah, you can commandeer you can drive ships with like a team of your friends and fight other ships, like other player crews.
It looks like a game, but it's just fun to play with buddies. It's like very just pop on Discord with some buddies and hop on.
It's MMO-esque, lazy bozo. You do interact with other players. So I definitely put an MMO camp for sure.
That's funny. There's a lot of Twitch spam lately. Pretty impressive how much Twitch spam has been going through. Yeah, I delete those as soon as I see them.
Are we getting spam?
No, I deleted. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. You banned one guy. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, one more link I want to drop about eSports. I thought it was pretty funny. It actually only applies to the. Where to put it? There's actually anti-doping now for League of Legends, but only in the Brazilian version of the game.
Anti-doping, like
anti-drugs, performance-enhancing drugs. Riot Games approved the doping control for the Brazilian League of Legends.
Doping with what though? Like Adderall? What are they taking?
Everything probably. They include doping control would also include the consumption of multiple prohibited substances as social drugs as well. But I guess other stuff too.
It says, but if you take marijuana, you're gonna play worse, not better.
Yeah, I feel like that would definitely slow you down.
I know. I don't know what. Yeah, it must be. It must be Adderall because that's the only thing I can think of that.
It would actually improve your game.
Yeah.
Probably everyone's on it. If it's not like disallowed specifically, everyone's gonna cheat and use it.
Imagine like they all take steroids, they're all jacked, and when they lose, they pick up their keyboard and snap it in half. Like
that is impressive. You can just snap your keyboard in half. Mega impressive. That weed is making reactions totally faster.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what drugs they have in mind. Athletes play high on weed all the time. Oh, I didn't know that.
Learn something new every day. Well, pretty light week in MMO news this time.
Yep, let's just move on to the post game. Thanks for watching, guys. Stick around if you're on Twitch. Otherwise, sayonara.
Later for YouTube.